Well, hello and welcome to episode 2 of InProgress. 2 new guests. We've got Angel and Ashton. Why don't you guys just give us a quick 1 second summary of who you are and why you're here. I didn't
1
prep
second.
them for that.
All right,
I didn't
hello.
prep them for that.
I'm Ashton. I'm 20 years old and I'm here for podcast recording.
And normally behind the camera.
Usually, yes.
Yeah, the man is actually the InProgress producer.
I wouldn't say producer. I just say...
Well, I would, and I'm in
camera guy.
charge.
Okay.
There you go.
Sure.
But normally behind the camera.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. What about you, Angel?
I'm Angel. I'm 20 years old and I am nowhere near a camera. So
Yeah. Normally on the other side of the lens, being live streamed to YouTube.
True. Yeah.
That's kind of your main deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So episode 2, we're here to talk about this idea of being overwhelmed by adulting, right? I think sometimes there's a bit of a funny term, like adulting. What is it? Yeah. It's different to childing or teenagering. And it kind of starts, I think, 18, right? You kind of finish school or whatever and you start getting out in the real world. And then, life just kind of starts happening to you. I thought it'd be funny to start. What do you reckon is the most adult thing that you have done that you're kind of unnecessarily proud of? Where no one else, anyone else looking at it would be I don't know that you should be that proud of that. But for you, it's no, I did my first load of laundry and I didn't wreck my clothes.
For me, I think it was actually very recently. We're coming up to vote for Australia. I did my first bit of research into the parties and what it actually means and stuff.
Very good.
And it was just I sat down one night and did it, and I was oh dang, I'm actually gonna make a difference if I put a vote in, but I don't know.
Come on, people. That is actually Ashton. Can we just I know we're on the intro, but let's talk about this for a second. Do you know that they've just released some stats? So year 10 students, they poll basically just before every election.
Yeah.
Before 2019, basically 38% of year 10 students in Australia were basically proficient or literate in the way that our democracy works. That number is now 28%.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm interested in your kind of experience of becoming an adult and now oh my gosh, I have a real responsibility to vote.
Yeah.
In your honest opinion, don't say where you went or who your teacher was, but do you think school has prepared you in any way for the actual process of voting?
For the actual process, yes. Yeah, I think I was given enough, and then also they encouraged us to talk to our parents, and then they my dad took me through the whole process and stuff of voting and all that stuff. So yeah, I think I personally am prepared, but I mean I can't say.
There you go. One of the 28%, baby. Let's go.
I'm proud.
Yeah. What about you, Angel? Something you're proud of that no one else would probably care about?
Well, this has happened recently, but I just got my license, so I've been given the job of taking my sister to school.
Okay.
And there's something about just being bye Nazareth, have a great day, and just looking at all the other parents dropping their kids off and being I'm there
parents,
too.
You're one.
I'm not a parent, but I'm an adult dropping someone to school.
It is though, right? Because there's that real responsibility of actually, you know what? You wouldn't have got here if it wasn't for me, and you're helping the family out. And
yes,
very good, very good. One chore you secretly enjoy?
I really love cleaning my room, actually.
Okay.
And extending a bit out to the rest of the house, but specifically my room. Usually when I do a deep clean, I'll have my headphones on or just a speaker maybe, blasting music, and then I'll usually rearrange my room a bit as well. And I think it seeing it all clean and then in a different layout again is just very satisfying to me.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah, I love that. So
it's so funny. So Kira and I, we've been married 9 years, and we still now are yeah, let's just rearrange the house. Why not? That kind of feeling just doesn't really go away. Yeah. What about you, Angel?
Well, this is might be something new for everyone. I love cleaning the silverware of my bathroom. Every day, brush my teeth, go to shower, do whatever. If there's any part of silverware that is wet, I get a microfiber cloth and I wipe it down.
No, that's not real.
Make it
the
spotless.
silverware?
Yeah, so a tap. Or when you
So
turn on the shower and it's red.
You don't want any splash.
No splashes.
You don't
Because
want
they
any
leave chlorine
evidence.
marks.
You don't want the chlorine marks. No
No.
evidence that things been used.
No.
Wow, that must be very stressful.
No, it's actually, I don't know.
Like therapeutic.
It is
almost.
quite therapeutic.
I guess it becomes part of your process, your system, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. But that's the chore that you enjoy.
That is the chore that I enjoy.
Yeah. I'm full dad mode. My chore that I enjoy is mowing the lawn.
Oh, love that.
Of course.
Yeah, we bought our house like a few years ago. My father-in-law runs a lawn care business. So there's like a bit of family pressure, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I went full deep dive. I bought like a vintage lawnmower. It's like a whole thing. Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's the chore that I enjoy, which I know is very, very lame. All right, this question I'm not solved on, but you know, it's in there, so we'll go with it. If your stress level was a fast food order, what would it be?
Could you, I guess, elaborate on this question a bit? Because I'm just lost completely with this one.
Yeah, okay, so full disclosure, all right, for the icebreaker questions, I did ask ChatGPT
Right.
Classic.
to produce the icebreakers. And when I saw this one, I thought that is the weirdest question ever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep it in there because it's so AI.
So open to interpretation.
It's just like so. Give me some random words that human beings have said in a sentence, and then join it all together, and let's have a discussion.
Yeah.
Because Angel has an answer.
I
Do you
do
know
have
this,
an
Ashton?
answer.
Angel prepared an answer for this.
I did.
I was just lost when I saw this question.
Yeah, me too. We're
so-
on kindred spirits
Okay.
there.
All right.
Yeah, well, mine is a McSmart meal from Macca's. Now, this is my reasoning for it. I start uni next week, so I'm kind of like, I have to kind of be, well, not smart, but I need to start getting my brain working again,
Okay,
prepared for
okay.
uni. But with the McSmart meal, you can choose it's a cheeseburger meal plus either like a cheeseburger or like a sundae, chips. And I chose a sundae because there's only little time left of holidays and I want to enjoy it as much as I can. So it's like that little sweet treat.
Dang, that is profound.
Yeah.
Wow.
Took me a while.
I'm very impressed because my immediate thing was like, what's my favorite fast food? And then I'm like, Zinger box.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
But like,
That's
is
good.
that? I don't think that's my stress level though. Like, I don't know how it equates to stress level. I don't have
Yeah.
that kind of creative depth of thought.
It took me a while.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like the more there is in the meal, that's the higher stress. That was my line of thought, I guess, train of thought.
Ah, yes.
So, I mean, I'd say last month it would have been a family feast from KFC.
let's
Okay.
go.
But
Okay.
now we're down to just maybe a Zinger box, a standard meal.
Yeah.
Not too bad, but
Do you
definitely.
feel like there's been a period since you've been like out of school that you got down to like Happy Meal kind of level stress?
Oh, I think there was a very short period where it was just. All right, we can get into that later, but like, yeah, a very short period where, yeah, essentially maybe just a single bag of fries. Just
Dang. Okay.
yeah,
Come on,
I-
Chow.
again, very short period.
Very short
but
period of time, but it did happen.
It did happen, and very grateful for that amount of time. So
Do you feel like there was a marked shift, like in, I guess, stress or anxiety, maybe around those kind of words, when you left school and kind of entered, not that it's like the real world, but it is different, right? Because you're kind of free from the systems and the structure and the shackle in some respects of school. Do you feel like you noticed anything change in you in respect to stress?
Oh, well, for me, right, I got out of school, I guess, early than the typical, like, you finish year 12. And I actually spent about a year and a half, like, I guess, figuring out, like, how to manage stress and, you know, mental health and all that. So for me, yeah, there was a definite change in all that, in how I view, you know, what I'm actually going to do, what, like, I should put energy and, like, time into, like, stressing about, I guess. So for me, there was, I guess, a big difference when I got out. So
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? Do you reckon there was a shift there at all?
I think so. I am a huge planner. So for me, coming out of year 12, I already had like uni lined up, everything kind of ready. But there was almost a stress of just the unknown, of not knowing what's going to come and like what I should do. How can I prepare in order to minimize the amount of stress that will come? So I guess I got stressed, not knowing what.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you kind of come through like 13, 14 years of like a very rigid system
Yep.
that basically tells you like when to eat, when not to,
Yeah.
like when to start your day, when to finish it, and then you kind of get out and it's like, cool, work it out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, where's the bell gone?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. Get full free reign of your schedule, which I think is good, but I mean, for me, I definitely didn't take advantage of, you know, I'm not a planner. I'm the exact opposite. I will just go with the flow, do whatever. And I think that led to me at one point, just getting more stressed because like things would pop up and I hadn't planned for it, and just immediately like, okay, I got to do this now. And then other things pile on top of that. And then
the irony of that, right? Like that you can be stressed from not planning, but also can be stressed from over planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is such a conundrum, which I think is adulting though, right?
That's so real.
Because you try so hard. You're like, no, I'm going to work it out. And then you are in the midst of working out and you're like, oh, maybe this is not a great idea. Yeah. All right. I'm just looking at my notes here. Any stories about like something you've enjoyed maybe about the freedom of adulthood?
Oh, well, I'll go back to that short period of time where the stress was just a bag of fries. It was last year. I said to my dad, "Hey, I'm gonna go on a trip. I'm gonna go on a trip to Japan." I just booked it, went there for a month, and I think that really changed my perspective on time management and like work life and just stress in general, because I'd never felt more, I guess, at peace and stress free when I was there, which is, I guess, bad because I'm away from my family, away from my friends, away from work, and that's the only time I feel, I guess, stress free. But I think that trip was a turning point for me in terms of how I view what, I guess, happiness and what I should do, like, to keep myself sane at times.
Yeah, double click on that. Let's talk about that a bit more. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, like before this trip, I hated traveling.
Interesting.
Right. I found it very stressful. I found it like, oh, what's the point? I can just stay home.
For context, would all of your travel have been with family prior to this?
Prior to this, yes, it was all with family.
Okay,
at least one member of the family, whether it be my grandma or like my dad. But this was my first solo trip. I took the flight on my own, stayed on my own for a month. I did meet a friend or two in Japan, but that was like for a day only out of the month. But yeah, like it really opened my eyes to, I really enjoy being on my own, I guess.
Yeah, fascinating.
And I think I would love to just explore the world more now. I think partly because I got into photography and like and cinematography. I'd love to see more places and take more photos of different places, but my entire mindset just switched from that one trip, which was kind of mind-blowing to me. So yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah. What about you, Angel? You got anything?
I would say that I guess something that hit me was it was my first day of uni, and I went into class, and basically the tutor was there just talking, and I saw people just walk out of class, and in my mind I'm like, what are you doing? Like the tutor's gonna tell you off or something. And like he just looked at them and just kept talking, and then they came back with like food and like drinks, and they were eating and just chatting while the tutor was talking. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I've been so used to school and being like, you can't, like, you have to ask to go to the toilet, right? Like you can't do anything by yourself. And it kind of made me realize that I was like, this is it. Like I have complete freedom. Like there's no one going to be like, no, don't do that. So like if I wanted to eat, I could eat. If I wanted to go to the toilet, I could. And like if I wanted to walk out of class, there was no one stopping me. And not that I did, but it was almost just a sense of like, wow, yeah, I'm really like by myself now. Like this is it.
Which is crazy, right? Because it kind of puts that reality of like it is really your life.
Yeah.
And even though it has been your life the whole time, there is that moment where you're like, oh, it really is like my life. Which sounds like that's a similar thing to what happened with you, right? With going on this trip, you're like, I can actually just go to Japan for a month if I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is wild.
Like, I guess responsibilities, like you could technically, I could just leave them to someone else if I really did want to and I had, I guess, no morals. But like, yeah, if right now I could just book a trip and then go if I really did want to, which is, yeah, insane to me.
So let's talk about this because I think this is what's interesting, right? Is that, you know, you're kind of like observing, oh, you can get up and go and do whatever. Maybe you don't want to do that or whatever. Maybe there's like, and then you're like, I could go to Japan whenever I want, but realistically I do have responsibilities. This is, I think, is also a very difficult part about growing up because you kind of are like, I can do whatever I want, but is it actually wise for me to do whatever I want? What's that journey been like of like, cool, I've got freedom, but also like, I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to let myself down. Any kind of thoughts?
I think this is something I've been tackling with, or I mainly tackle with last year, because I was feeling myself quite overwhelmed with like family duties, like work, and all that. And I felt like I did want to take a break. Like I just wanted to, you know, be on my own, not necessarily take a trip, but just have some time to myself to, I guess, recharge in a way. But I felt so obligated to, you know, stick with work and hanging out with friends, you know, just to catch up. They're like, oh, surely, you know, come out with us. We'll have a good time. And I would always just cave and like, yeah, I'll go out. I'll hang out with you guys and I'll get home late. And then, all right, I don't have any time to rest. I got work tomorrow. And it's something I thought with like, when do I say, I guess, no and prioritize myself? I think with my dad and my dad's always one to say yes. He'll always like lend a hand, whether it's like detriment to himself. So I think growing up with him, I think I've conditioned myself to essentially do that.
Yeah, interesting.
But I'm trying to stray away from that now, like more than ever, I think. Which is
such a difficult thing, right? Because like you're saying, you feel obligated in some respects, even though it may not be something you desperately want to do. You're like, well, I don't really have a reason. Like, it's not like I'm like sick or I've got something else on. So like, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
Which is that weird transition of becoming an adult, right? Because you're like, before I could have just said, no, I've got practice or I've got this thing on or I've got this commitment. Yeah. But now I'm kind of out in the big bad world. It's like, well, I don't really have a reason not to.
Yeah. Like it's all up to you, but like at the same time you feel like it's not.
Yeah, interesting.
I think that for me is how it is. Like it is all up to me. I can make the decisions. But in the end, like due to my obligations, like with work and stuff, it is still not up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting, right? Because if all throughout high school you kind of, or even school in general, you're like, oh, one day you'll have this freedom.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, oh, it's not actually as free as I thought it would be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the... I mean, have you got any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think for me, one thing that I mostly realized was that, yes, like there's so much freedom, but it also depends on like other people's availabilities. So for example, youth on Friday nights, yes, I am free, but that means every Friday night I have a commitment to be like helping and serving these young people. So I need to kind of prioritize my time on other days so that I have Friday nights free. Or like I work every afternoon until about 8:30. So knowing that I'm working, how can I prioritize time for myself and like time with God, like in the morning or like really late at night, and what are ways that I can do it, I guess, in that don't take too much of my time so that I can do other things.
Mm.
So I think there's so much freedom, but then it also makes you realize, how do I manage that in like the best way so that you don't get burnt out and you don't get stressed out, but then you also feel like you're productive and you're doing something and you're not just like wasting your time. And I guess like being too free and kind of just like not really doing anything.
Yeah, it's a fine line, right,
Yeah.
between like rest and just wasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's interesting, isn't it? I want to come back to that, what you're saying there. So you both work, but you work, I would say you both work in very unique jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to just quickly fill me in
Sure.
more detail? And then obviously everyone else can understand a bit more about what your work life is actually like.
Yeah. So I have a tutoring business. So I tutor basically Monday to Saturday, from about 3:30 to about 8:30, and then Saturdays would be from the morning until about afternoon. And that will be like maybe 3 to 4 students throughout every day.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, I work for the church doing video and photo, and then outside of that, I also do a bit of freelance here and there, just like wedding photography or event photography. So yeah, bit of a weird schedule.
Yeah, both of you got pretty weird schedules.
Yeah.
So within that, how have you guys found like the rhythm works for like a week? So like, I feel like in school it's pretty rigid. You've got this Monday to Friday, very clear thing. Maybe you go to church on Sundays or youth on Fridays. What's it been like finding a rhythm outside of that very rigid structure? Have you noticed anything in your own self that you have a tendency towards, or like anything like that?
I think it's quite bad, but I feel like I found myself, like, if I don't have to go out anywhere, like if I could take the easy way out and do the work at home, I will. And that usually ends up stuffing some stuff up because I might end up getting, I guess, called in to do a filming. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not prepared, right? I could have been in the studio, right, ready as soon as they make the call. All right, I'll set it up. But for me, I'm already at home. I'm still in my jammies, right? Sitting at my desk, editing a video. But like I found now that I have some set days where I'm like, okay, I'll definitely come in. But there are days where I'll also leave it, like, I guess, on like 50-50. Like, depending on let's say Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm definitely coming in. Let's see how much work I have after those days where I'm like just in the studio working, fully locked in. If I still have a lot to do, I'll come in the next day. If I don't have too much to do, I'll stay home and just work in my room. But
I guess it's really hard in your role specifically because it's such a creative role.
yeah,
Like maybe sitting in a blacked out studio is not the most creative space. And so sometimes you might need the break. But then also your work ebbs and flows, right? Like there could be like a month or two where you are just like filming all week for like weeks on end, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. During Christmas time it's crunch time. Like I'll be here. I think that's the only time where I know I'm here every day of the week, trying to get everything done as soon as possible. But yeah, then there are times where it's like I'll come in on a Tuesday, I'll do my meetings, I'll do my like the weekly videos, and then I'm like, I can go home now. It's only 4:30. Well, I'll go home and then all right, I'll just rest the rest of the week.
Coming, baby.
Let's not talk about December yet. we're still pretty early in the year, but
What about you, Angel? How's the rhythm finding? Has that happened for you?
Yeah, like I said, just because I'm a huge planner, I almost like need a rhythm, or else I'll just kind of spiral. So for the past few years of just being out of school, I've managed to like find a rhythm where I wake up at like 7 and then 6, because like I have to leave the house at 7 to get to uni by 9. And then I'll finish uni about 1 o'clock, get home for 2:30, and then like eat, and then tutor, and then do my work after tutoring.
Whoa.
So it was very like full on. I've got
Mhm.
this, and then kind of fitting in church commitments here and there. And it worked, but I realized one of the biggest things that I forgot to include was time for myself and time with God. Like I found that I always kind of went, oh, that's okay. Like it's not as important as, you know, I have to get like an assignment done, and or like it takes me 2 hours to get to uni, so I need to do this and this beforehand. So I think that was the biggest thing that I struggled with, and I still am struggling with. But this year, because I guess a lot of my classes are now in the afternoon, it means that I have to restructure and I need to find a new rhythm.
Interesting, yeah.
But yeah, I like I said, I really I like a structure. So if I have any time where I don't have anything on, it's a bit weird for me, and I'm like, oh, like what do I do? And yeah, I find that I do have to be very productive.
It's so funny how different you two are. in
We
that
are
sense.
like, I'm just listening to this. I could never.
Yeah,
Like, if I'm really busy, I might plan a little bit, but other than that, I'm gonna just leave it free flow.
Whereas I'd be much more like you. I'm like, cool, I've got 24 hours. Can I spend 25? Like, is it possible? So within all of this, okay, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you've got an answer to it or not. Just give me your thoughts. What do you, when I say the word Sabbath, what kind of, just give me a stream of consciousness.
When you say that word, oh man,
I would say like the first word that comes to mind is just rest.
yeah.
And I guess being in a quiet space. I also see it as like, this sounds bad, but like being alone and being like by yourself, kind of isolated from everything that's going around. So like, you know, all the noise of, you know, people, of like responsibilities and all stuff like that. It's just kind of blocking them out just for a little bit and just resting.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think when you did say like isolating yourself, not isolating yourself, but yeah, just making time for yourself and trying to just intentionally have time to rest and reflect. 'Cause I went, I think it was towards the end of last year, went to the beach early in the morning just to, I guess have that rest time and reflection time. And I found that so valuable, like waking up earlier than I usually do, going to a place where there's not many people around. There was like 1 or 2 people walking their dogs early in the morning, but just having that time, like that really intentional, fully quiet time, like it gave me so much more energy, even though I was tired because I woke up early. It gave me so much more energy for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week. Because I, you know, took time to collect my thoughts and, you know, really let my feelings and thoughts of the previous week just process.
Interesting.
And I think, also, like I use that time to also, I guess, connect and speak with, you know, have time with God and really just keep that connection going. And I do want to, I guess, make more time to have those sort of moments. Because yes, after that, definitely seeing the value in it. Not that I thought there was no value in it before, but it was just after, because I was there for what, 2 hours, I think.
Wow.
Just really opened my eyes to, you know, how much of an impact it can have.
It's very interesting to me because I think you guys are at two opposite ends of a scale in many respects, right?
Yeah.
But yet, I think both of you are saying that even within that, like I'm very structured, very busy, I'll just kind of see how it goes. That concept of like rest is actually still very attractive, right?
Yeah.
Which is
For sure.
fascinating to me. So I think, you know, there's obviously a massive biblical precedent. It's one of the commandments. It's like pretty key to a lot of Israelite life. And then Jesus himself, like, often is like away and resting. What do you think the point of it would be? Like, if you were to don a hat of like analysis, I guess, why do you think God is so intentional about telling people to do a Sabbath specifically?
In my opinion, it's like, if you're not giving yourself time to rest and really have your own time, and you're constantly like, you're still trying to invest in people, or do like your regular responsibilities and work. If you're not giving yourself time to rest, you're going to not be able to fully like commit to investing in others, or your work responsibilities. You're eventually going to burn yourself out, and you lose the opportunity to properly give 100% essentially to the things you are called to do. I think
very good.
that's the way I see it.
Yeah. I think like an analogy would be like, you have a cup, right? And you fill it with water or whatever. And if you invest in other people, you like you give some of like that water, you pour into other people's cups, right? But then eventually your cup will become empty. And if you don't take the time to intentionally refill that cup and recharge yourself, then you're not really able to fill other people's cups.
Very good.
Because it's empty.
Yeah. So then, to go really hard on this, okay, what do you think the point of your life is?
Oh man, all right.
Just keeping it light on the old InProgress podcast.
Wow. Point of my life. That is heavy.
This was not in the pre-show notes, in case you're wondering.
Shows why we're struggling so much, but I think for me, I've always felt like, partly because of, I guess, how my dad lives his life, called to help people as much as possible and show as much love as possible. And I think that's because my dad grew up very with like very strong values in terms of that. But he's always tried to impart it onto me, and then from going to church and just trying to figure out my own values. I think that is what I feel most called to do. I think love as many people as I can, realistically, and always be that support and helping hand wherever I can be. And then, of course, like we were talking about earlier, like resting and making sure that I'm not, burning out in a sense, while I try to do that. But
Point of life. That is.
I mean, it's the question, isn't it?
It is the question.
Yeah.
I think similar to Chow, it's I guess to help others and to and to love. Like, it's really hard to like put into like a sentence or something, because there's just so many, I guess, factors and so many things that come with, I guess, life. But I think loving people, helping them, being that support system, and I guess making sure that people know like who they are and whose they are, because being like, when you kind of live without a purpose, it's a lot harder to like go through like the daily motions, because you want a purpose, and I guess when you know that, it's so much easier. But yeah,
it's a tough question.
it is such a tough question.
Especially when it's just dropped on you like that. I feel like it would have been all right
probably a great question off air, right? Because then you can be like, well, let me think about that for a
Yeah.
second.
Give me a day.
The reason I ask, okay, is because I think that the purpose question, the answer to that ultimately becomes the reason why you do or don't need to rest, right?
Yeah.
So I guess from my perspective, not to say that you are wrong, because everyone obviously has their own thoughts and opinions and all that sort of thing, but in some very old theological wisdom that says the chief end of man, which, sorry, Angel, this was written a long time ago.
It's all good.
Chief end of humanity, if you want to, is to glorify God for all of his days. And everything that you guys have said is the outworking of that, right? Like Jesus is really clear. You know, you love God and
Love
at the
people.
same time
Yeah.
love people. The way that you love God, therefore, is how you love people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so in doing that, you are glorifying God throughout all of your days. But like you guys have identified, it's very exhausting work because it's involving people,
Yeah.
right? And
For
we
sure.
we love the people. The people are
I love
lovely,
people.
but the people are also the problem, right? And this is the reality: is that we can love as much as we want out of our own strength, but ultimately, I think that rhythm of rest and coming back to stop, rest, delight in God, that fills that tank back up and reminds you that actually that person that is really frustrating, you know, is actually someone that God deeply loves.
For sure.
And I guess it reinvigorates or refills your tank or whatever. What's your kind of thoughts on Jesus being like, all those are weary, come to me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Give me your thoughts on that, honestly. Not Christianese, not like,
Okay.
All right.
yeah, the Lord just really, I just love resting with the Lord. Like, what does that actually mean to you? Doesn't mean anything.
Well, yeah, I guess it goes back to, that time where I went to the beach, right? I'm going to keep going back to these stories.
I got to visit this beach, man.
Hey, it's just
a holy
Coogee
place.
Beach, that's it.
Fuji.
Yeah, I think, not only just, spending time there, collecting my thoughts and stuff, but like I did mention, bringing and surrendering that stuff to God, I guess was a part of why I felt so much more energized, because it wasn't on my mind anymore. It wasn't something that I had to carry throughout the week anymore. I believe there's a lot of power, I guess, in that.
Very good.
Personally, at least, because from all the experiences I've had, at least, because even in Japan, I did take time on my own just to go to a park or somewhere, sit down, and surrender things at home to God. It just kept my mind clear for the entirety of that trip.
Fascinating.
I just felt so much lighter.
I do find that interesting, right? You're talking so much about that that trip being so pivotal, and ironically, it is a time where you have no responsibility.
Yeah,
and so you can actually then have the time to process and think through and reflect and pray through everything that's on your mind, and it has become a massive turning point.
Yeah,
I reckon it's such a good lesson.
Yeah. I think with that though, like, it's not like it was super easy. Like, I'm in Japan. There's so many opportunities to go see all these things. But instead some days, like, I had to choose going to a park and having that walk and intentional time for myself. It's still not easy, even though it is resting. Like, there's still some intentionality, some difficulty in that.
Very good. The irony of that statement, right? It's difficult to rest.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah. I guess for me, I also had like a pivotal turning point as well. So last year, this was in preparation for youth camp. I was also in the middle of one of my like biggest weighted assessments at uni. They were due a week apart. And that the couple weeks leading up to camp and leading up to the assignment, I was like every day it was one or the other. And it was, I spent no time, like admittedly no time with God, no time for myself. And I just just kept pushing just to get it done. And by the end of it, I felt so numb. Like I just felt so numb to everything, felt numb to people, my emotions. And I didn't know what to do and I didn't know how to get out of it. And then camp obviously happened and like my cup was like filled again and I felt so good. But it made me realize like, why didn't I like do this in the first place? Like why didn't I intentionally take the time to rest and to really just be with God? And now like subtle plug to EHR.
Come on,
But,
baby.
We've been doing a devotional, so morning and night, and 2 minutes of silence before the devotional, and then 2 minutes of silence after. And wow, that has changed. Like it's only been 3 weeks, and it's just completely changed the way that I wake up in the morning and like go through my day, and also just end my day. I feel like I'm just at peace, and I feel like whatever the day has like ahead and what God has in store for me, like I'm ready and I feel like I'm equipped.
Yeah.
And then when I go to bed, it's like, I think, I don't remember the verse, but it's like, well done, my good and faithful servant. You know, I just felt like really like, wow. And I think without kind of the feeling of knowing how numb I felt back then, I wouldn't have realized the importance of rest.
Yeah, very good.
But yeah.
It's almost like it's like when you know that you should drink water, but when you're like super dehydrated and then someone gives it to you, like, oh my gosh, this thing's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like,
Yeah,
cool, I'm
100%.
going to go buy a 5-liter water bottle.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But it is fascinating, right? That experience of like starting and ending your day in silence and rest with God is like strangely profound, isn't it? Yeah. Do you have any kind of rhythm like that, Ashton?
I usually like when my dad comes home, like after we've sorted out dinner and stuff, we'll usually have a chat for a bit, like not in silence or anything, but we'll always take an opportunity to talk. I think, just like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, like what we did throughout the day, or how we're feeling. Like we always have that time. Like even he's overseas right now. Like I'll call him, like, what'd you do today? How was your day today? And I think it brings, like, it's not just good for my relationship with my dad, but for ourselves, like, just reflecting, I guess. Like, it forces you to think about your day and reflect on how you felt today so that you can process whatever happened. I think for me, that's the main rhythm I have.
It's fascinating, isn't it? So like you have these rhythms that kind of crop up. So you got like a daily, maybe got a weekly, maybe monthly, seasonally. I think Ecclesiastes, you know, there's a season for this, there's a season for that.
Yeah.
What have you guys noticed is like the biggest difference? Because in school you kind of get forced, right? Because it's like you get a 10-week term and then you have a holiday and then you have a 10-week term and a holiday. What has it been like navigating the year-long thing and finding, like, have you noticed any like yearly rhythms or seasonal things where you're like, because we've got to remember, right, electricity is pretty new. Because you think like for the last 7,000 years basically of human history, people slept less in summer and more in winter. Because it was physically darker. We don't have that kind of seasonal rhythm anymore. But I'm wondering if there's other seasonal rhythms that have like cropped up over the year that you've noticed.
Well, personally, it's just towards the end of the year, I always just feel like I want to go on a trip. I think that's the rhythm for me.
Run away.
Yeah, just get out. I think the heat gets to me. Like with my skin, I hate the heat. So like I always feel like I just want to go somewhere colder. Which I did, and I feel like might end up an annual thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
Ending up in Japan for a month every year?
maybe not a month every year.
Okay. Things are going well in the Chow household, baby.
Just me though.
Yeah.
Seasons. I guess, like Christmas.
I
think because you just have so much time like with family, with like friends, you're catching up with people, and then like church, like Christmas productions and everything like that. I think just being aware of like when there is seasons of busyness like when to actually, those are the times where you do need a plan or structure, like
Mm.
when you rest. Like even for me, like after last year, like the season between like camp and uni,
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I really need to get a structure and a rhythm in before that comes, so I don't have to feel that way again.
Very good.
But then also in breaks, like now that we have free time,
Mm.
like, am I just gonna keep it the same, or is there time that I can spend more in just resting? But
Yeah, I feel like for me when I was in uni, which is a long time ago now, but I feel like I would count down to uni break so I could go work full time to earn some money. You know, like, yeah, I had terrible habits during uni. I was like work myself into the ground till I was about 28, and my wife's like, "Oh, imagine if you tried Sabbath," and you're like, "Oh wow, look at this, resting is very helpful."
yeah,
Pretty nice.
yeah. All right, let's talk about some misconceptions. Let's talk about this one. This is very common. So I think in Australia right now, this is actually interesting. So the one I've got written down is like hustle culture is the only way to success. But I think for us in Australia, I think it's very interesting. I think we have two cultural moments happening at the same time. First one is hustle or die, right? Like work 70 hours a week, have 3 different things that you're working on.
Yeah.
You know, like open an AI business and also work for Deloitte and like just calling
Subtle
individuals
digs.
out here.
Subtle dig.
Yeah, are we shooting?
No,
some
we're not
shots
shooting
here,
anybody, right? But
Okay,
like,
all right.
there's this one line, and also like, you know, serve on a board and like run a team at church. And hypothetically, this could be one person.
Right.
But then also at the other end of this, and I think this is happening right now in this cultural moment,
Yeah.
is life doesn't really matter that much. I'm just going to mail it in, and I'm going to have a good time, and I'm just going to live by whatever is in front of me. What do you guys reckon about these misconceptions of life? Because I think that those are the two extremes that we're kind of living in. And I know I'm having a bit of fun with this one, but it is real. Like I'm this person as well. I always do more than I should. Always say yes to too many things. That's me. I'm on that side. But I totally also understand there's this other side that's like, well, life doesn't matter. Any thoughts on these?
Well, yeah, I think they are, misconceptions because you always have to find a balance, right? Like if you just do nothing, right, you're gonna, for me, right, I don't want to feel like I get to the end of, you know, my time here on earth and I'm just like, okay, I look back, what have I done?
Yeah.
Was it all?
And
Did I waste the whole thing?
Yeah, because I personally had an experience where I felt like I was going to like I was very close to there was a bit of an accident. I think Angel knows about this, where you know close to the ocean. A wave hit me on a bunch of rocks. Yeah, Angel knows this.
do you know this one?
Okay.
And I was holding
Why are you
onto
laughing?
a
This
rock.
is very stressful.
Yeah, I was holding onto a rock, and I'm like, wow, this is it. and like in that moment, I'm like, have I done enough? Like
Wow.
you genuinely think about it in that moment,
Interesting.
and I don't want to feel that again and go, well, I don't think I've done anything. But at the same time, feeling the stress when you're working yourself to the bone is not a good feeling either.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like I've found that balance. Like, I think I'm definitely still trying to find that balance, like coming into this new year. Again, trying to say no to stuff and really find that rhythm. I think it keeps coming up, but yeah, the rhythms in life. I personally just can't say I would work myself to the bone or do nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of like this middle ground,
The
right?
middle.
And ultimately,
Yeah.
what you work on, you want to matter, right? You want it to be something that's multi-generational. It's going to
Yeah.
impact many generations to come, which I think ultimately is why I think that statement of chief end of man is to glorify God is so helpful, because then you're like, well, at the end of the day, I'm working on this project, and you know, it may be a building or it may be a video, but at the end of the day, God will be glorified through that action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And therefore, that is a legacy that gets left beyond me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Any thoughts, Angel, before I
Yeah.
cut you off?
just like to clarify, I was not laughing at Ashton for almost dying.
Okay, because it definitely sounded that way. Definitely sounded a little bit like, haha, remember when Ashton almost died?
Look, looking back at it, I'm laughing at it because
Okay.
I was dumb.
It wasn't the brightest Ashton
Yeah,
moment.
I
like-
was standing on top of a wet rock where waves were crashing, right? So
okay.
I'll also,
I mean, without being there, this does sound like a foolish decision.
yeah. So if she wants to laugh, I'm not against it.
Yeah. Well, at least you weren't the person who followed and decided to try.
We won't talk about that. We won't.
Okay.
We'll leave that.
But I guess, yeah, I guess finding that middle ground of like what, when you, I guess, say yes to things, are these things like, are they actually gonna make a difference? You know, are they gonna glorify God with what you're doing? But also, like, if you're doing nothing, yeah, like, do you want to go like kind of to the end of your life and just be like, oh, I have not done a lot, and I don't know. I think for a lot of us, we want to be able to, like, when we die, we want to leave a legacy, right? We want to like make a mark and be like, oh, like this, we did this or something. And like, it doesn't have to be like profound and like extraordinary, but we want to at least be remembered for something. And I guess when you kind of just cruise through life, it's a lot harder to really make an impact. But when you're saying yes to things that maybe you don't really say yes to, or you kind of allow yourself to be a little bit busy, then that you never know that you are maybe, I guess, investing in someone and kind of like made an impact on the people.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you can go to both extremes where you can go, I'll do nothing, and then you leave no legacy, but also you can do too much.
And then just...
And in the end, you also leave no legacy because everything you do is half-hearted because you're doing too many things, or
Mm.
it's interesting.
You got to have that discernment, right?
Oh,
Yes.
100%.
That discernment
Very
to say
good.
yes. Like Angel said, you got to say yes to the things that you feel are going to be impactful and that God can use to leverage an impact, essentially, on others or, like the generations to come.
Yeah, very good. I think another common misconception is I'm failing if I'm not managing everything perfectly. I think this one might be probably a more tough one for you to deal with, Angel.
Oh, yeah.
Ashton probably not as much. But
Yeah.
is this still a pervasive thing, like in your generation, of like you've got to have everything dialed?
I think there's a lot more grace given. Like,
Interesting.
now that, like, even if we fail, like, there's other, I guess, ways that we can get to the same point. Like, I think, we've kind of grew up in a generation where it's like, oh, it's okay to fail. But I think personally, I don't have a fear of failure, but I definitely don't like it when I fail.
I don't have a fear of failure, but I'm like marginally scared of it all the time.
Slightly marginally scared. So, like, I kind of relate to this misconception, but I think I'm learning that I don't have to manage everything. Well, I guess to my standard. Like, if it's good, then I leave it. You know, I don't need to make it like super, super perfect and get every little, and I guess not use my time wisely and spend it on something else.
It's classic, like, how good is good enough, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's something that, because there are some things where you're like, well, good enough is actually close to perfect.
Yeah.
But there are some things where it's like, I mean, that's probably good enough.
Yeah.
Which, again, is discernment, right? It takes a long time to figure that out. Yeah.
I think, well, for that, it's like, I mean, I have like a few friends who are like very stressed about like what their plan is for uni and like where they're going, and like they talk to me about it. And in my, like, for my perspective, right, because I dropped out of school. Like, I dropped out in year 12, spent a year or two, you know, working on myself and my mental health. And then, like, I'd say by God's grace, I landed this job. Like, I'm working at the church. I get to spend my time, you know, helping glorify God and, like, getting paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Crazy.
And, like,
it
doing
is,
what you love.
video, photography, like, it is what I enjoy and love. And I, like, when my friends come to me and they say they're so stressed about, you know, oh, well, like, I feel like I need to stay in uni. Should I just change course? like there are, I guess, outside pressures
Mhm.
on that as well. Like when I dropped out of school, it's not like everyone was supportive of it,
Mm.
but I think there is merit to, you know, you again, I took time to rest
Mm.
at like that year to work on myself and have that time so that I can, you know, fully invest in what is held for me in the future, right?
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. Like for me, uni is a foreign concept because I've never gone, and I
Yeah.
don't think in my future, I don't think it's there. So like
Mm.
there are times where like, oh, uni, yeah, it does have its like
And
I
it's definitely
just
not
can't
for
speak on
everybody.
it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's interesting though, because like, I think, you know, in many respects, you're by God's grace, right? You did get quite lucky in that you basically landed a dream job that you've worked really hard at. It's not like you
Yeah.
just were like strolling down the street
Oh yeah.
and someone hit you with a camera and then they were like, work for us now. It was like, no, you worked at it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you're highly, highly skilled in what you do. So it's not like it's in the sense of like, it may not be a traditional education of like, you don't have a diploma that says someone taught me how to do this,
Yeah.
but you obviously have the skill set because you've done the work.
Mm.
I'm interested, do you feel like it's been difficult for you working within the framework of like someone else telling you basically this is what we need you to do, even though it's such a creative role? What's that managing of expectations been like?
I think like again, it's always about balance for me, right? Like there are I definitely not enjoy. I definitely appreciate having, I guess, a guideline to, you know, projects that I have to work on or videos I have to make. Like it keeps me I guess going in the right direction because you know, when you're in a creative role, you can go anywhere, right? And when you can go anywhere, you're like, you have so much on your mind.
Yeah, interesting.
And like, I feel like I could go off the rails if I didn't have at least some guidelines, right? But then, yeah, at least I'm given enough, I'd say enough wiggle room to, you know, express like creativity and, you know, still enjoy what I do.
Yeah, very
like,
good.
for sure.
Yeah. This is interesting. I was chatting with a friend very recently, and he was saying generationally there's a shift in your guys' generation, this current like 18 to 23, maybe 25. So my generation, when I was your age, I would just be like, give me the title and the authority, and I will, and then leave me alone, and I will get it done. But what we're kind of noticing in your generation is like, we need you to kind of touch base a bit more often. We don't want to just get left to our own devices. Would you say that's true?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Like definitely.
That's fascinating development to me. Like that has happened within, like, because I mean it's only 10 years or so, but very interesting. Because for me, that would be I get stuck with this misconception because I'm like, nah, there is a way to do it the best way possible, and if I don't find it, then I'm a failure. Whereas maybe for you guys, it's you didn't help me understand what I was actually supposed to do, and so it's kind of also your fault. Would that be, or is that me misreading?
No, I think there's like an element of accuracy to it. Like, I think if for example, if I do something wrong and I felt like I wasn't really prepared enough or like trained well, I think I would place an element of blame like on the person who was like, I guess, higher than me or kind of put me into this position. But I wouldn't say that it's just completely like their fault because it's also a learning a process of learning and growing. Because like I believe that when you like place someone and give them a title, like you don't want to just baby feed and like spoon feed, you know, like you got to let them go a little bit just so they can
have a crack and make some mistakes. And
so I think like we're not like dependent on people, but we do like just someone there as a backup.
Yeah. We're trying to just back ourselves a bit here. Like, that's what it sounds like. We're just like, oh, we're not that bad.
We're not that bad, but like, yeah, we need help.
yeah, which I think is actually a maturity thing. I think is a problem in my generation because we're like, no, I can change the world. And then you like give it a crack. You're like, why is no one helping me? It's like, well, because you told us to leave you alone.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon it's a maturity thing. I reckon a little bit. All right. Any final thoughts or anything you'd? What do we talk about? We've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adulting, rhythm, stress, work, identity, meaning of life.
Yeah. Touched on a wider range.
Yeah.
Or wide array.
Ashton's near-death experience.
Huh?
Ashton's near-death experience.
Yeah. But I think, in the end, it all comes down to, a balance and discernment in the things that you do and choose to do. And I guess in my personal opinion, like, you are an adult. You do get to make your own choices. Sometimes there are pressures from outside. You, like, sometimes that feeling in your heart, like, I guess for me, in the end, right, me dropping out was the right choice. I think I would be so much more stressed and miserable. Like, who knows what I would be doing if I tried to stay in school, tried to slog through that end bit of year 12. Like, in the end, that decision that I made, I guess not ignoring, but trying to push away those external factors of like people disapproving, it did lead to me being in a I'd say a very, very comfortable and very nice spot.
Yeah.
And even on that, I reckon, I just want to not overly challenge you, but I just think even if it was the wrong decision, it doesn't matter. Because worst case scenario is you just start again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's, when it comes to that sort of stuff, you're taking a risk out of a great place. It's not like you're like, fight the regime, I hate the education system. You're like, look, I think on balance, this is not a great space for me.
Yeah.
And you're coming at it from the right attitude.
Yeah.
I think, like,
Yeah. It's person by person basis. Like, for sure, uni is the right path for some people. It's just, for me, it's not.
I think there's overarching principles that are helpful, but I think we don't want to be dogmatic about, like,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think a little takeaway from me would be, I think it's okay to say no to things. I know for me, I sometimes get scared to say no to a few people just because I'm like, oh, what are they going to think of me?
Want to name them? Name and shame on the podcast?
I'm not going to name and shame.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I won't do that. But I think, I guess I would think like, oh, they think that I like can't do it, or like I'm not good enough, or that like I won't be able to, like, they too are so busy. So like, why, like, can I really, do I have time to do it? And I think you're the only person who really knows yourself, and you know your limitations and that. So I think be aware of like how much you can go, and like when do you need to stop, but also like if you have to stop and you can't do it, then like you're allowed to say no, and it's okay.
Very good.
Don't worry, we're here because we want to be here.
Yeah, we didn't
so
say
you
yes,
get a bit worried.
Yeah. This is me right now. I'm like, great. They've just said yes because I sent them 5 text messages. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it from me. Anything else from you guys? It's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Love just getting asked the meaning of
the
of
point
life just randomly.
Yeah.
Just a little casual one. Oh, wait, a little fun one to end on, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Biggest fail that you'd like to publicly share?
Fail?
Like, oh, that was a mistake. I'll share mine first so you guys can think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was 18, I had this incredible four-wheel drive ute. It was unbelievable. Ford Courier LPG, so it was cheap to run. Amazing. For some reason, I get in my head, great idea to swap it for like another car.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. This is everyone else in my life said what you just said. And so I put it on Gumtree, which was the thing at the time.
Oh.
And this guy approaches me with a 1980 Jaguar XJ6. And I'm like, this is what I need in my life.
Yeah.
So I swapped my car for this Jaguar XJ, and like, I mean, idiot. It was a 1980. It was already 30 years old. And as a Jaguar, which are like terribly unreliable.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole thing fell apart. I sold it for like $300. Like, yeah, it was a terrible mistake. Terrible mistake. Big lesson.
Biggest fail.
For me, well, the near-death experience is definitely one of them. But I think There was. All right. This is also another moment of me being really foolish. But I just want to say I was what, 6, 7 at the time. All right.
So
So
that's fine.
I was I think in KL somewhere, and I was wearing Crocs as you do, and we were going up the escalator.
Fashionable man.
Yeah, love Crocs.
Mm.
I was going up the escalator, and like I always see those warning signs like, oh, if you're wearing sandals, don't, or like even just wearing shoes, don't put your foot on the yellow lines. I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad. Like they just don't want us like dirtying the side of the escalator. So I put my foot.
They don't want us dirtying the side of the escalator.
I put my foot on that yellow line, and next thing you know, I'm waking up in a doctor's office getting stitches done on my toe.
No, because
bless.
it got jammed in the thing.
My leg was sucked into the side of the escalator. Luckily my dad pulled like my leg out before the end of the escalator, because like at this time I don't think the safety features were
There's
too,
no like emergency buzzer.
so
it's
it was just going.
It was gonna mince you.
Yeah, so like now I have a constant reminder, because like my toe on my right foot is just
Mangled.
it's
'Cause
not,
it got
it doesn't
jammed
look
to
the
an
same,
escalator.
right? Yeah. But yeah, I think that would probably
that's a
be
good fail.
my biggest fail.
That is a good fail. Okay, I reckon my biggest fail. This was my year 12 ball.
Oh, okay. Tension's already high.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
the temperature rise in the room just a little bit.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure on this
Yeah.
one.
So while getting ready for the ball, I jammed my one of my toes, like the ring finger toe.
No.
And I jammed it on the corner of a wall, and it hurt. But like as you do, if you jam your toe, it's gonna hurt.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, like it'll be fine. And then as I like kept walking throughout the day and doing stuff,
no.
it was just very painful. And I was like, oh, I should be fine. And then I go on to put my heels on, like I'm all dressed up, ready, and it's purple,
Oh,
like,
no.
it is purple. And I'm like, I'll be fine, because like I don't want anything to ruin my night. And so I go about the ball, I'm fine, and then I have to hand out these bouquets of flowers to all the helpers to say thank you. And I'm on the stage, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And then I decide, like the stage, like the platform wasn't as high. So I thought, oh, like I can just step down directly without using the stairs.
Oh, no.
And then so I step down, I land on that like toe.
No.
I trip, I fall, bouquet of flowers all over the carpet, like all wet.
Oh.
And I like just trip, like full fall. And like, yeah, it was quite embarrassing. Biggest fail. And then I like quickly like cleaned everything off and like gave it to them.
That's
I'm like,
the
I'm
worst part
so
about that, isn't
sorry.
it? Yeah.
And then like I just struggled to walk for the rest of the night. And yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
That is very funny. I find that funny, especially because it's like that horrible feeling of like, now I've got to clean up this mess and I'm mortified.
Yeah. And I
like,
also couldn't walk. So I was like, just like
Oh,
sculling
yeah.
it. Yeah, it was
That's
good. Yeah. I
fantastic.
think biggest fail.
Yeah.
Both had toe stories for some reason.
True.
Weird. All right. Well, thanks for being here, team. Very
Thank you, thank
appreciative.
you.
That was
Thank you.
episode 2 of In Progress, Overwhelmed by Adulting. We'll see you guys next time for episode 3.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.